Yo, what's up with it, man? YouTube. We coming on this video right here. We're gonna talk about the legendary, the one and only. You already know what it is, the shedeur. And I'm from Ohio. I live about 25, 30 minutes outside of Cleveland in the state of Ohio. So I'm from Ohio. I know the Ohio politics when it comes to this. So that's why I'm speaking on this. So I'm gonna speak on this because I'm from this state that the legendary shedeur happened to get drafted to. Now, I've been following shedeur since Jackson State. I've been following Dion, since Dion, since I was, a youngster. So, with that being said, the politics behind on shedeur is something crazy, some crazy work. But at the end of the day, I'm not here to advocate saying that shedeur should have been the starter. Shedeur should have definitely been drafted higher than he was drafted in the 5th round, 144. It's like, are you serious? But that's the politics of the NFL. But I'm going to tell you one of the biggest politics teams in the NFL. And that's the team that shedeur happened to play for. And most of the people know the history. If you a football fan, if you a Browns fan, you know the politics of football. You know what goes on in football. Excuse my dog, he outside barking. But at the end of the day, the Cleveland Browns have had a multitude of quarterbacks. I could sit here and name enough from my eras of watching the Browns. And I'm an avid Browns fan because I'm from the state of Ohio. It ain't like I'm against the Browns. I was an avid Brady fan. I haven't been a NFL fan since probably Brady. Hey, man. Hey, man. Hey, man. Excuse me, man. I haven't been that in a while. I still follow the NFL. I'm a Mahomes guy. I like Pat Mahomes. Far as I like Christian McCaffrey. Who else I could really hone on? I like Lamar Jackson, but I ain't think if I'm gonna say I'm a somebody fan in the NFL, it was prior to shedeur, Shiloh, Travis. Room for the other buffs out there that's a part of some teams in the NFL. But if I ain't rooting for Pat Mahomes and now shedeur and X, Y, and Z, I roll with the Browns. I watch the games. I'm from the state. But the politics that's going on with shedeur are politics that have been going on for years with the Cleveland Browns. Unfortunately, you can go all the way back to, I'm just talking my generation, my decade of being a part of this. It's been going on for, we done had a multitude of quarterbacks. Tim Couch, Brandon Weed, Manziel, Brady Quinn, a multitude of quarterbacks we done had. We done had all type of quarterbacks you could think of, and multitude of quarterbacks we done had. It's always been some type of politics. And what's different with shedeur, in my opinion, all right, man, I had to get my dog, man. He out here messing up the video, barking at the neighbors and whatever. But we done had a multitude of quarterbacks in Cleveland. And the difference with shedeur is those other multitude of quarterbacks, he's won more than them. He's been in bigger moments than them and showed up more than them. And shedeur is just a flat out dog. So for them to make shedeur feel like he has to prove it to them when he has proven it makes no sense at all. My belief on the situation and my hope on the situation at the end of the day is, like I said, I'm a Cleveland Brown fan. I live in Ohio. But at the end of the day, as much as I wanted him, a Travis, I'd have took a Jimmy Horn, latest he went around, I'd have took LaJohntay Wester, and definitely a Shiloh. And they had the opportunity to sort of have a Buffs team, consequently, but that's not how the NFL works. If you watch the NFL and you've been a part of football, played football, you've been a part of this thing, and you watch NFL, and the NFL been around for 100 years, they don't operate like that. They don't operate that we're going to get all these players from one school and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So it wasn't a reality. But to have shedeur and Travis was definitely a reality. But they didn't want that, because now you is more stuff to be said about it. Is more to be talked about if there's shedeur and Travis on the same team, and Travis a two-way starter and shedeur ain't starting at quarterback, which he would have had that chance being drafted in the second or maybe the third round. He'd have had that more of a chance. But overall, looking at the situation, Cleveland just like the attention. So when I say that they just like the attention, if they took it an ounce of seriousness in considering shedeur as a long-term solution in the Browns' future quarterback, there's no excuses. Even that he got drafted in the 5th round. I understand that 5th round draft picks, 6th round draft picks don't get the same repetition, the same cachet as a higher round draft pick will get. That's respectable. But that's only respectable in minicamp, in training camp. When the camp come around and these preseason games are being played, and I'm giving a guy less reps and he's doing more with less, that tell you something right there. He might be different, because a lot of 6, 7, 6 in those later picks, they don't do that. But you got a guy who's in practice getting less amount of reps, less amount of just camaraderie with the first team guys. But unfortunately, injury happened, and we had to put this guy out here to play the first preseason game that they won. He threw 2 touchdowns, had 132 yards. His passing, I don't remember what he was, 14 for whatever it was, or 14 for 23 or something like that on his passing. That in itself speaks more volumes than what we're giving him at practice, because we already given him less and he did more. And that's just the politics with the Cleveland Browns. Like, you know what I mean? They make the decision on Deshaun Watson. Yeah, he was becoming something for the Texans. He was becoming something for the Texans into X, Y, and Z. You know, we don't want to bring his situation up. It doesn't matter. But X, Y, and Z happened, and then we dropped the ball on it. And this is just what the Browns do. Their organization been making bad decisions and bad choices since they became an organization from the Baltimore Colts. They've been doing this since then. They've been bad since when? You know, Jim Brown, was it Otto Graham, what's his name? Otto something played quarterback. Them is the legendary Browns that people love. It ain't these recent 2000 Browns when they came back. It ain't these Browns. They've been established as a franchise for 35 years, I think, since they came back in 2002, 2000. They came back, or 1999. I can't remember. But when they, 99, 98, they've been there about 30 years, 35 years they've been back as a franchise. They haven't had a quarterback since then. So, that'll tell you what this team in the organization, they're like the Dallas Cowboys. The only difference between Dallas Cowboys and them is Dallas is worth $10 billion and the Browns only worth $1, $2, $3 billion at max. I wouldn't know the exact numbers on the Browns, but I know they're a $1 billion team, obviously, but they're not $5, $6 billion team. They're up there, but they're not that inquiring. But they're like the Dallas Cowboys, and they make executive decisions that make no logical sense. And they've been doing this since when? So for Shedeur, what I was going to say was that I hope ultimately a team called for him. I'm a Browns fan, man. I live in Cleveland. I want Shedeur as a quarterback. Like, I want Shedeur as a quarterback. Like I said, I want Shedeur as our quarterback, our franchise quarterback for a decade plus, to compete with the Joe Burrows of the world, the Lamar Jacksons of the world, the for now Aaron Rodgers of the world, the guy in Buffalo's of the world, Jared Allen. I mean, what's his name? The quarterback from, I call him Jared Allen. That's the defensive end. But I want him to be that for the Browns. But at some point, you gotta face reality and understand that the Browns don't want him to be that, because you don't put your faith on a 40-year-old, 39-year-old quarterback in Joe Flacco. And I have no problem with Joe Flacco, but you don't do that. You just don't do that. And if they thought Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel was what they were, they need to be getting reps. They're getting reps, excuse me, but they need to be getting game time, playing time to see is they what they display in that practice. Because without that, and they already showing no reliability. So you got that. We know Shedeur been reliable. He missed 2 college games, I think. 2 college games at just the University of Colorado. At Jackson State, I don't think Shedeur missed no games, to be exact. But that's what I'm talking about. When you looking at a guy who's durable, he's doing more with less, and then y'all still overlooking him, downplaying him, like, what? And then you hear the stuff coming out of camps here and there from reporters and saying that, man, Shedeur is this, or you can even track the QB tracker. Shedeur is doing the same thing he did in the preseason game. He's been doing this at practice. He's been doing this at minicamp. And the Cleveland Browns want to downplay it, underlook it, overlook it. At the end of the day, that's what I would hope, that in the next 2 preseason games, I know the Saints need a quarterback. I don't know what other team, just off the top of my head, would need a quarterback that's, now he's going to be so behind if he does get traded, because he missed their mini camps, he missed their training camps, he missed their practices leading into the season at this point. This is what Cleveland does to people. This is what Cleveland does to certain players that they don't want to see these people be great individuals, great players. And for shedeur, you can just give him nothing but the highest praise because he takes it publicly with the utmost respect, the utmost dignity, the utmost humility. And you gotta credit, Dion, Pilar, I don't want to say names, or but Dion and Pilar for raising, these individuals to be upstanding citizens, man, the upstanding people, just in general. So with that being said, I hate it for shedeur because now you're going to a team and you're behind and you got to catch up now. And I want him to go to a team that he can ultimately play. He can ultimately start because you don't process this game. You don't really process and get that intellect in this game by not playing. He has to play, whether it's good, whether it's bad. He has to get out there to have the ability to make these plays and have the ability to make bad plays and have the ability to go watch film and have the ability to create with Njoku and Jerry Jeudy and these wide receivers. He has to be the guy to do that. No one's doing that with the 4th, 5th string quarterback. No one's doing that with the 3rd string quarterback. You have to be the guy, the number one guy, QB1, to have the offensive coordinator behind you, the offense behind you, the offensive line behind you. You have to be the number one guy. And it sucks for him because he doesn't have that ability right now to be the guy he wants to be. He bees it with the 3rd and 4th and some of the second guys, but you have to be that and allow shedeur to be that for the number one guys. And Cleveland just they don't want that. They don't know what a leader looks like. They don't know what a dog really looks like. They don't know what. They just don't know, and it's not. It's their fault, but it's not. And they can hold out and say we want the Manny guy, we want Arch Manny, and that's fine. You can want Arch Manny, but at the end of the day, you're supposed to at least see if the Ferrari or the Lambo I got can they get the job done? Can they run the race? Can they really get out on the front line? And maybe we don't need this individual. In Cleveland, and that's just how they always been, though. They've always been that way. They always put all their eggs in one basket. They never, I'm going to put 2-3 eggs over here, or I'm going to stash some over there. No, Cleveland been always all or nothing. And they continuously have some of the greatest fans in the NFL. And they considerably let these fans down year after year, like a Dallas fan. You can be a Dallas fan all your life, but Dallas ain't been to the Super Bowl in 30 years almost. Cleveland Browns ain't had an established quarterback in 35 years. So that tell you the similarities in some of the teams. You can look at multiple teams around the NFL. But at some point, I think some teams just want to lose. To be honest, I think some teams just want to lose. You got to call it what it is when, when you see what it is. It's like, man, I think that team might be set up to where they win. They might win 11 games one year, 10 games. They might get in the playoffs. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that team want to lose because they don't know how to deal with success in a little city like Cleveland. They don't know how to deal with it. We didn't know how to deal with it with LeBron. We was lucky to get LeBron for 7 years and then him to come back for 2-3 more years after that and we is lucky to be able to have a guy. But LeBron is homegrown. He from Ohio. He's from Akron. He's from here. So it's not like he was some person that was from outside the state that came here. Brown would have been left after that first 4-year contract or 5-year contract, whatever he signed in the beginning. He'd have been left because his lifestyle, his things were different, but he knew Ohio. So it was cool for him to put up with it for seven years and then say, you know, I'm going to go ahead and go to Miami. And at 20, was he 25, 28? He is young still, so he was able to go and venture out. Young LeBron still, I think he was 25 at the time, and he was able to broad out. I think he was, something like that on the age. I ain't accurate, but all the way accurate, but I probably am. But that just show you, but shedeur ain't that, and football ain't basketball. But shedeur, a winner, shedeur, a leader, shedeur is gonna change your franchise, like he said, out his own mouth, and by him staying later, working, doing what he gotta do, and they still don't want to mess with shedeur is preposterous to me. But like I said, I'm from Ohio. I just wanted to make a video. It ended up lasting a little longer than I ever could imagine. But I just wanted to touch on some points on the franchise. Like, everybody just calm down. We gonna see what Kenny Pickett, obviously shedeur gonna get another chance, whether it's later in the game, whether it's with the 3s and the 4s again, later in the game. He's gonna get his opportunity again, and Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel gonna get their opportunity. We can't hope they just have horrible opportunities to where shedeur just, no, let them dudes go out, play their game. If Kenny Pickett go out and throw for 150 yards, a TD, 2 TDs, so be it. If Dylan Gabriel go out and throw for 120 yards, 2 TDs, rushing TD, so be it. At the end of the day, the Browns do not know how to evaluate talent. They never really have. It never really was a thing. It's not a thing of this team. I live in the state, man. I root for the Browns, man. I know what I'm talking about. They not conducive to winning. They don't know what a winner look like if a winner sat down in their face and said, look, man, I've done this. I'm talking about winning coaches, winning players, winning executive. They ain't had no winners to know what a winner looked like. So we gotta chill. Let shedeur do what he doing. He already enduring a lot, and we on the outside screaming and fighting and battling for him, which is good, because it need to be spoken up. But at the end of the day, we not making these executive decisions that's gonna allow shedeur to be what shedeur can ultimately be. But what I do hope we do, and I'm a Browns fan, and once again, if y'all not gonna play him, if y'all not gonna make him number 2 fairly, based off what these other 2 guys do, I know football, so I know these other 2 dudes at least gotta go perform to then see who drops on the depth chart and who moves up. We got other people out there, and I ain't knocking their podcasts and what they do, but chill, especially y'all that done played football. Chill. Y'all know the game is you gotta let the other person play. They didn't play. They was injured, hurt, whatever, put air quotation. We don't know what the reason was that the Browns held Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett out of practice and out of the preseason. We don't know. All we can do is say what they said. Hey, they said they injured. They were still throwing 7-on-7s. We don't know. All we can do is say what they reported. They said they injured, they ain't playing. That's what it was. Okay. Now we know that it's 2 more preseason games left. We know that these individuals have to go put on whatever display they have to go put on to allow then definitely the commentators, the ESPN, the Stephen A's of the world, all these people, they definitely gonna compare and contrast to what these individuals did compared to what Shedeur did in his first preseason game. They're definitely gonna do that. So we ain't gotta worry about that. That film is gonna be documented. That's what we gotta chill out. Whatever they go do Saturday against the Eagles, that's gonna be documented. We already know all the other stuff that's that, but this right here is the documentations that we need to validate, to say like, man, the Browns is really just a trash organization. But we have to first let them go out and document this stuff. They have to, we know what they've been documenting and saying at practice, but all the practices ain't public. Some practices are private, and some reporters are not allowed in. There are private practices. So you got to take that in consideration. Then you got to take in consideration what they mascaring and makeup when the public is allowed to view the practices. They also hide stuff in those practices. But what you can't hide is on a Saturday night, them lights on, you in Philadelphia playing against the Super Bowl champions. You can't hide that. It's on national TV or whatever streaming channel, it's going to be on there. And that's where we get to judge, and now we got the documentation to go with it. But everybody jumping to the conclusion that, oh man, Shedeur should be at least moved up on the depth chart. I'm with it, but I also played football. And I understand that these other characters and these other players have to go out and now document what they got to document. And then we can go back and say, look, this is what Shedeur did, and this is what they did. We doing it based off of what Shedeur did. Yeah, he played a good game, and he still say he didn't play up to his expectation because Shedeur wanted like 200-300 yards, maybe 4-5 TDs. That's what Shedeur wanted, but that ain't what transpired. What transpired was a game of 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 sack, and he was 23 of 14 passing, which is not a bad stat line for your first NFL preseason game with limited reps. With the first team and just limited reps, period, because when the third and fourth string got only getting 1 or 2 reps. So you got to respect that. Now we're going to see what they've been doing when they've been giving a guy 70-something reps plus, and he been with the first and second teams, and then now we're going to really see what he can do. That's what we got to wait for, as just be patient. Shedeur going to be all right because he enduring so much. He enduring Dion's situation. He enduring this stuff with the league. And then he got to go to practice, endure this. When he know the truth what's at practice, Shedeur know what he doing, standing on the sideline, watching this dude passes get batted down by the D-line. He might throw a good deep ball here and there, watching him throw interception. If you throw interceptions at practice, you going to throw interceptions in the game. It's just that saying, you going to throw interceptions in the game, bruh. Because it's faster. You playing against starters. You playing against people that is comparable to this game. I'm starting for a reason. I'm playing for a reason. So if you throw interceptions in practice, oh, you best believe your butt going to throw some interceptions in the game. Ain't no different. You practice how you play. So it don't matter. Let these two dudes come Saturday, go out here against the Eagles, and we going to see if they give who to nod, whether it's Kenny Pickett or is Dylan Gabriel, and we're going to see if he get 45 to 50 snaps like they gave Shedeur, and then they let Kenny Pickett get 50 snaps, and they might let Shedeur finish it out. Or they might not let Shedeur play it all, and then we play the Rams the week after for the third preseason game, and Shedeur might get another 50 reps. We don't know. But we got to wait and let these two players put their film out there, and then we could can critique from there and go from there. So y'all stay tuned, man. I'm just bringing the politics of the Browns. The Browns ain't the best organization, man. They ain't never been the best organization. They, like I said, they don't know when they got a dog. They don't know when they got a winner. They ain't never knew when they had winners, man. They ain't never knew, man. They ain't never knew. And that's the God honest truth. And, hey, you better not. They ain't never knew. And hey, I hate my man going through it. I hate that my man gotta endure this, but he'll be better for it in the end. And if the Browns don't reap the benefits, they shouldn't anyway, because y'all played with it. Y'all played with it in the beginning. Man, leave my dog in here.